In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, my dear friends and fellows, look, Louis Jackson, she is a researcher in the field of political, in the field of psychological science, science of psychology, and she has written a beautiful article, like all other articles of her. Here she says that how you can live a dignified life, for a dignified life, and she says that how you can carry, yeah, with a class and composure. How can you carry yourself with a class and a composure? And that is an article written by the Louis Jackson. So here she has shared with us the 10 beautiful points, and these 10 beautiful points will help us a lot in living a dignified life. We are going to talk about each of these 10 very briefly. And first of all, she says that don't take everything else personally. Very right. Everything else, if it is not so pleasant or pleasant, it is not directed at you. Why are you going to take it personally? Don't take everything else personally at all. That's really, really important. And that is the point number one, according to the Louis Jackson, to carry yourself with a class and composure. And the number two point, she says that try to keep your emotions in check. Try to keep your emotions in check. That is very, very important. Second point, which is very important. And the third thing, she says is that develop a positive mental attitude. Develop a positive mental attitude, so necessary. If at all our attitude is not positive, what is going to happen then? We are going to face equally, you know, negative mental attitude by the other people with whom we are interacting in a negative way. Why? Because our attitude, mental attitude, was not positive at all. So, this is the point number three. The point number four, she says that face your fears. Facing your fears, that is very, very important. Not running away from your fears at all. Don't run away from your fears at all, because if at all you run away, try to run away, the fears will follow you and not going to leave you unless and until these are addressed properly. And the trouble is that if at all we are unwilling to face our fears, these might grow with the passage of time, and we might find ourselves as a weak person or even more weak person. So for that all reason, it is really important to learn and to prepare well. And if at all we are not preparing well the way we should have been preparing, that in that case we will always remain fearful of our fears, and we will be afraid of our fears. And here Louis Jackson says that face your fear. The number 4 point she says is that respond decisively. Respond decisively. That is very, very important, and that is the point number 5. Respond decisively means कि again we have to prepare well, and we have to take a decision, and then we have to convey this decision. But every decision must be prepared well, and unless and until we don't do a proper sort of homework, I think that we cannot take a decisive approach, and we cannot respond decisively. And now the next point is, she says that as a next point, she says that question yourself and consider if you are reasonable. Being a reasonable person, that is very, very important. If at all we are not a reasonable person at all, what is going to happen then? The people will not act with us in a reasonable manner at all, and we will be facing a kind of failure and a kind of negative attitude from all the sides. So for that reason, we do have to question, we do have to ask ourselves and consider if I am a reasonable person. That is really important, and it was the point number 6. The point number 7, she says that take responsibility. taking responsibility. That is really, really, really important, because unless and until we are not taking the responsibility, what is going to happen then? I think that the people will not like to interact with us. The people are not going to trust us. Maybe initially they will be trusting us once only, and later on they will try to avoid from us, and they will let the other people know. Our reputation will be spoiled, and nobody will be willing to trust us. So for that reason, we do need to take the responsibility. The number 8 point is, she says that show compassion. We do have to show the compassion. We don't have to be cruel. We don't have to be hard on others. We don't need to be careless at all. We need to develop the compassion. We need to develop the kind-heartedness. That is also a very important point, if at all we want to live honorably in the society. And now the number 9 point she says is that boost your zen. It means that keep yourself mentally calm. By how? By keeping the highly positive mental attitude, and then not to put ourselves in hurry for all the time, and bodily, giving ourselves the rest, and more importantly, giving our mind and our soul some rest as well. The last point she says is that she says that love yourself. Loving ourselves, it is very, very important. Why to ignore it? Loving others, our family members, that is important, but loving ourselves, it is equally important, and it must not be ignored at all. And now I am going to make a quick revision. First of all, she says that don't take everything else personally. And the second thing she says is try to keep your emotions in check. Very important. The third thing she says is adopt a positive mental attitude. The fourth thing she says is face your fears. And then the number 5, she says respond decisively. The number 6 point, she says that question yourself and consider if you are a responsible, you are a reasonable person. Now the number 7 point is take responsibility. Number 8 point is show compassion. Number 9 point is boost your zen, mean keep yourself calm mentally and physically. Now last point is the number 10 point is she says that love yourself. So these are the 10 points according to the Louis Jackson, who is the researcher in the field of the psychology, and she has suggested these 10 points, and these 10 points, if at all we try to make as a firm part of our personality, I believe that we will be able to live honorably and in a dignified manner in any society, whether this society, whether the Eastern society or the Western one. We shall inshallah be able to live honorably in a dignified manner, and that is what Louis Jackson has advised us. Thank you.